Oldest brother Derek was walking me and my twin brother Ryan home from kindergarten when a masked man leaned out of a car and grabbed me as he drove by. I screamed at the top of my lungs, and before I knew it, the police were following us and it was a high-speed chase. The masked man accidentally slid off the road and crashed the car into a tree. The last thing I remember before being reunited with my brothers was seeing him knocked out but with his mask off. He was staring at me angrily. Hi, my name is Maggie, and I'm about to tell you why I can't watch Pirates of the Caribbean. I found out about my problem straight away at the hospital. Dad said, "Baby, are you okay?" The nurses looked shocked as I screamed at the top of my lungs. Master! They thought I was traumatized, but the psychologist had another diagnosis. Turns out I had something called pogonophobia. It means a fear of beards. I know it sounds stupid and funny, but I promise it's a real disease that nearly ruined my life. I couldn't even look at someone with a stubble without throwing a fit. I mean, I broke the TV during an episode of SpongeBob because a character with a beard scared me. Even normal things like shopping were a nightmare. My parents took me to a grocery store once, and I got so scared by a cereal box with a bearded man on it, I knocked over the whole display and made a huge mess. It was a lot of stress for my parents. In fact, I overheard them talking to my brothers about me one day. Mom said, "She's crazy!" Dad said, "I know. We need to send her somewhere else. I can't handle her anymore." I burst in on the family meeting, crying hysterically, and my parents looked uncomfortable. They said that I could come back when I was fixed. That's when my second brother Joe came in. "Family sticks together. Either you keep Maggie or you lose all of us." Derek and Ryan stood by his side, and my parents shot each other an awkward look. And then they packed their bags and just left. Since then, Derek and Joe kind of became our parents. They had tea parties with me, took care of all the chores, and most importantly, defended me because of my condition. Derek was dropping me and Ryan off on our first day of school when I saw my bearded teacher and had a meltdown. Ryan said, "Didn't you get the memo about BEARDS? My teacher replied, "Wait, that was serious? I don't have time for this." Derek said, "Oh, we are very serious when it comes to our beautiful sister." He handed the teacher a razor and told him he would watch the class while he did his job. Derek was kind of intimidating, so the annoyed teacher turned white and ran to the bathroom to shave. I have to say, I'm pretty lucky to have the brothers I have. Later that year, when Ryan and I went to the school's Christmas party, I cried when I saw the Santa banners everywhere. I hid under a desk and covered my eyes. Everyone in class laughed at me, except Ryan. Ryan said, "You can open your eyes now." I said, "I can't, I'm scared." He said, "Trust me." When I looked around, I saw that he'd cut the beards off of all the Santa decorations. I was so happy, but everyone thought I was weird because of my fits. I didn't need friends though. I had my older brothers and Ryan. They were more than enough for me. One day though, I found out I wasn't enough anymore. It was our last week of middle school and Ryan decided to go on an overnight trip. I said, "But we never go on overnight trips." He said, "Well, maybe we can start. Don't you want to make friends?" I said, "No, we don't want anyone else." It turned out I didn't want anyone else. Ryan tried so hard to convince me to go, but I refused. Finally, he said he didn't want to miss out on things because of me. He tried to assure that nothing was changing between us. He said, "I'll just be gone a week. You won't even notice I'm gone." I have news for you. When we're in middle school, things change overnight. The next week, Ryan came back from the trip with a little bit of stubble. My other brothers shot him daggers as I started to sob in the corner. I asked, "What's that on your face?" He said, "I thought I'd try something new." Without even asking me? I ran upstairs and locked myself in the bathroom. Ryan came to the door and tried to explain that he wasn't trying to hurt my feelings. But this girl he had a huge crush on said she loved facial hair. I hadn't had an incident in so long. He thought I'd grown out of it. I didn't want to mess up his chances with his crush, so I agreed to try it out. My brothers were so proud I was doing well. They thought I was cured. In reality, I was purposely looking away all the time, and it was eating me up inside. One time, I was trying so hard not to look at Ryan that I fell down the stairs. See, as time passed and his stubble grew into a real beard, it was getting harder and harder to deal with my feelings. The day Ryan told me that he and his crush were finally going out, I broke down and begged him to shave it. He said, but she really likes my beard." I said, "You're already dating." He asked, "What if she doesn't find me attractive anymore?" I asked, "Is that more important than your own twin sister?" After a day of guilt tripping and a little convincing from Joe and Derek, Ryan walked into my room the next day, beard free. I ran up and hugged him. I was so happy. The next day, Ryan seemed really upset, but wouldn't say why. Joe decided to take us out to the new pizza place to try to cheer him up. Ryan asked, "Can Maggie even handle going there?" I said, "Sure I can." I tried with all my might to stay calm. Even when the restaurant was filled with bearded people, I could only do so much though. Then the waiter showed up and said, "Large pepperoni pizza for table 8. Ah! I screamed and knocked the pizza out of the bearded waiter's hands and splattered sauce all over Joe and Ryan. Ryan said, "I told you this was a bad idea." I said, I'm really sorry. I just wanted to cheer you up. He said, do you even know why I'm upset? It turned out that his girlfriend had broken up with him the night before. When she heard he shaved his beard for me, she got mad that he did whatever his sister asked. He told me that I'd ruined everything. He wished I was normal. As he left, I started to cry. I wish I was normal too. Joe tried to tell me that it was okay. Ryan would get over it. He was just sensitive because of the breakup. Joe said, it'll all be better in the morning. It wasn't. Ryan ignored me at school the next day. I nearly cried when I went to sit next to him and he told me the seat was taken. I ate lunch alone for a couple of days, till this really cute guy sat down next to me with 2 cookies, handing me one. He said, pretty girls like you shouldn't be sitting alone. Hi, my name's Matthew. A boy sitting next to me was sure to catch Ryan's attention. He was angry the whole time before coming up to us. Ryan said, is this guy bothering you, sis? I said, oh, now you're talking to me? I was just upset. I'm sorry. Don't worry. Nothing could ever come between us. He was looking right at Matthew when he said that. He then sat down next to Matthew, took out his notebook, and started firing questions at him. Ryan said, are you serious about my sister? Have you ever had a beard? How often do you shave? Matthew turned red and nearly fell out of his chair, saying we just met. I was ready to kill Ryan when we were all saved by the bell. Later after school, I caught up with Matthew and said I was sorry for Ryan's behavior. Matthew said, don't worry. I get it. He's your brother. I am serious about asking you out though. I totally wasn't expecting that. And of course I said yes. I immediately texted my brothers asking if it was okay, and they surprisingly agreed to a movie date and said they would pick us up. The car ride was really uncomfortable. Joe was the driver, Derek was looking as scary as ever in the front, and Ryan sat between us in the back seat. I couldn't wait to get to the date when the biggest surprise ever happened. Why are we parking at the house? Derek turned to me and said, for your date, of course, silly. Poor Matthew had no idea what kind of date he was in for. I walked into the lounge with popcorn to see Derek grilling Matthew. You'd think he was a murder suspect being questioned by the police. Are you planning to grow a beard? What does your beard mean to you? Do you consider it a sign of your manhood? If you were with Maggie and a bearded man came over, what would you do? You have only 3 attempts to answer that. Go. I said, oh my god, leave him alone, Joe! Matthew, let's pick a movie? Just then, Ryan walked in and said, yeah, what are we watching? My brothers decided we were all watching a movie. Matthew wanted to watch a romantic movie, but Derek picked Frozen. I said, guys, we aren't 5. Can we watch something less lame? Ryan said, what are you talking about? It's epic. You know, when Anna and Elsa reunite. Aww. Then Joe said to Matthew, hey, can you make some room? Derek said, yeah, just a little more to the left. Just like that, Matthew and I were sitting at opposite ends of the couch with all 3 of my brothers between us. At the end of our date, if you could even call it that, Joe drove Matthew home alone. I was so mad. They tried to assure me that they were just being big brothers, and this was all normal. Yeah, well, tell that to Matthew. He avoided me all day and didn't respond to any of my texts. I didn't see him at lunch that day either. I was crying in the ladies' room when I heard a knock at the door asking if I was okay. It was Ryan. He said, is there anything I can do? I told him he had done more than enough by ruining my chances with my first date. I was also silent the entire drive home from school. They bought me flowers and chocolates, trying to show me I didn't need a boyfriend since I had such great brothers. I yelled at them, saying how I wasn't myself in my room. A few hours later, someone knocked on my door and I walked over to shout at them to go away. When I opened it, it was Matthew. I've been crying all day, and now I look like a mix between a raccoon and the girl from The Ring. I covered my face and told him not to look at me right now. He gently took my hands away and said, I don't care about all that. Listen, your brothers found me and apologized for ruining the date, and wanted to make it up to us by letting us go on a real date. My brothers were actually really sweet about it. Joe even helped me pick out an outfit and did my makeup. Matthew's jaw dropped when he came to pick me up. He said, oh wow, Maggie, you look gorgeous. Of course they came with us to dinner and taught Matthew how to scan the room for any bearded men and shield the lady till she was safely seated at her table. But thankfully, they sat a few tables away. Baby steps. After a year of dating, my brothers really started to trust him more. I would even say they became friends. They constantly made jokes about how he better not grow facial hair now that he was a man, and never to mess with my sister or else. It really did all seem like jokes until the day he came back from summer break. When he showed up at my house after his 2-month family vacation in Europe, he brought a lot more surprises than a postcard. He walked in, sporting a scruffy beard, and I immediately screamed. Ah! Help! Derek! Derek rushed in and started screaming at Matthew. What were you thinking? We told you never to pull stuff like this! Matthew kept insisting that he thought it was just a joke because of a problem I had as a kid. He thought I would have grown out of it by now. That was it! Matthew was lucky my other brothers arrived when they did to hold Derek back. Ryan shouted at him to not come back till he had shaved again. He came back with a clean face a few hours later to apologize and talk in private. My brothers, reluctantly, let us talk alone. Matthew said sorry and explained he thought I would find it attractive, and he didn't mean to scare me. I forgave him, but I could tell my brothers weren't happy with him anymore. After Matthew left, they argued I should break up with him because he knew what he was doing. I kept trying to tell them it was all a misunderstanding, but I could tell something was up between us, and he was different now. He started making a lot of mean jokes about me. One day, I asked him if he wanted to go out to eat, and he said, are you sure? You're not going to cry like a baby if the waiter has a mustache? I said, why are you acting this way? Come on, be nice. He raised his voice and said, I am being nice. Putting up with your stupid condition. It's pretty hard not to have a normal girlfriend and do normal things because you have a freak out wherever we go. I was really upset and went home crying. When my brothers tried to ask me what was wrong, I said I'd just seen a bearded man on my way home and gotten scared. Ryan came to check up on me and said, well, Matthew should have at least walked you home. Matthew wasn't my keeper. Nobody was. I decided to really push my boundaries one day. I decided I would surprise Matthew by going to the homecoming dance. I knew he was going alone because I avoided places with too many people. I only told Ryan about my plan. He kept begging me to let him come, but I insisted I needed to do this on my own, and he had to promise not to tell the others. He reluctantly agreed, but said I needed to check in every 15 minutes. I promised I would keep in touch as he dropped me off at the dance. I was trying really hard not to find anyone with a beard in the crowd. But then at one point, I caught a glimpse of a guy with some facial hair, and I screamed and knocked over the huge punch bowl. All eyes were on me. That's when I found him. Matthew asked in disbelief, what are you doing here, Maggie? His jaw was wide open in shock, and his arms were around another girl. The girl leaned closer to him and asked, you know this weirdo, babe? I ran out of the gym and into the hall, furious. Matthew came out and ran over to me. He wasn't trying to apologize, though. He was angry with me. I cried.